The TVWAN News is proudly brought to you by
BSP, our bank, our people.
Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Carol Kidu Jr.
And I'm Jasmine Nero. Join me later in the bulletin for sports.
In this edition, 687 graduate from POMTech, World Bank report predicts 3.7% growth, and barrels go down trying. Governor Powers Pakop, chairman of the Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Gender Equality, Women's Empowerment and GBV, met with Assistant Secretary Ann Witkowski from the U.S. State Department Bureau of Conflict and Stabilization Operations to discuss President Joe Biden's 10-year plans to implement the U.S. strategy to prevent conflict and promote stability in PNG. The plan focuses on strengthening community capacity, supporting sustainable economic growth, and improving justice systems and security forces. The U.S. State Department Bureau of Conflict and Stabilization Operations Assistant Secretary Ann Witkowski met with NCD Governor Powers Pakop and HELA Governor Philip Undialu to discuss President Joe Biden's 10-year plans to implement the U.S. strategy to prevent conflict and promote stability in Papua New Guinea. The plan focuses on strengthening community capacity, supporting sustainable economic growth, and improving justice systems and security forces. In his capacity as chairman of the Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Gender Equality, Women's Empowerment and GBV, Governor Pakop expressed his support for the plan and emphasized the importance of preventing conflict and promoting stability, especially among women and the diverse tribes in Papua New Guinea. Assistant Secretary Witkowski commended Governor Pakop's leadership and emphasized the importance of partnerships and consensus building in the local approach. Governor Pakop also appealed to the U.S. for technical support and assistance in addressing the conflict in West Papua. Minister of Foreign Affairs Justin Kichenko commenced his 6-day bilateral visit to the People's Republic of China on Tuesday, 28 March 2023 in Guangzhou, one of the largest industrial cities in Guangdong Province. Foreign Minister Kichenko met with Governor of Guangdong Province and Deputy Party Secretary of the Communist Party of China Guangdong Committee, Wang Weizong. Governor Wang acknowledged Guangdong Province and PNG's substantial cooperation since PNG and China established diplomatic relations in 1976. Foreign Minister Kichenko maintained that Guangdong and PNG have maintained excellent bilateral relations in the past decade that has translated into tangible outcomes. In addition, Foreign Minister Kichenko forwarded an interest for establishment of sister city relations between Guangzhou and Leh City, being industrial hubs. Minister Kichenko invited Governor Wang to visit PNG, who reciprocated with an invite to PNG to showcase its trade products at the 133rd China Import and Export Fair, also known as the Canton Fair, from April 3rd to 15th May 2023. A new quarantine checkpoint has been opened recently at Mano along the Medang-Ramu Highway by the Secretary for Agriculture Department, Dr. Nelson Simbiken. The facility built by the Coconut Industry Corporation cost 2.5 million kina with funding from the national government.
The 2.5 million kina Mano quarantine checkpoint at the border of Raikost, Medang and Usinabundi districts was officially commissioned on Thursday, March 23, 2023, with the purpose of conducting quarantine on all planting materials coming out of Medang to contain the spread of the deadly Bogia coconut syndrome, a plant disease killing coconut palms in parts of Medang province. Bogia coconut syndrome was first discovered in 2007 in Yoro Bogia district, where it derived its name Bogia coconut syndrome. It has since spread to Sumkar and other parts of Medang and is affecting other palms as well as banana trees. Secretary for the Department of Agriculture, Dr. Nelson Simbiken, was accorded the honor of cutting the ribbon to officially commission the facility alongside the Deputy Chairman of KIK Board, Stephen Raphael, Managing Director of KIK, Alan Aku, and Deputy Governor of Medang, Pewa Aimai. KIK said Mano could be a temporary site as the disease is constantly on the move. A similar facility will be established at Waterrise Junction. Dr. Simbiken told the people to respect the facility and cooperate with the quarantine officers in making sure planting materials do not get out, as it would affect the coconut industry in the country. He added that PNG is currently facing biosecurity threats such as the African swine fever, coffee berry borer, and cocoa pod borer that people need to be vigilant and take preventive measures. KAK supervises the Mano checkpoint with help from police and local youths employed as casuals. The Mano checkpoint also assists with police work along the Medang-Ramu Highway in checking movement of criminal activities. Frida Kana, TVWAN News.
A quarterly inspection parade ceremony was held recently in West New Britain province. It was a handover-takeover event overseen by the NGI Assistant Commissioner of Police, Perudranu, marking a change in leadership within the organization. During the ceremony, PSC Chief Inspector Fred Kaiwa assumed the role of Senior Inspector Peter Senginawa, while PPC Peter Baki took over from John Yara. ACP Dranu was present to preside over the formal handover takeover of the new commanders as well as the parade. The inspection parade ceremony in West New Britain aims to ensure a smooth transition of leadership and acknowledge the outgoing leaders' accomplishments while welcoming the new ones. Parades serve various purposes in the police force. This particular parade was to introduce the new PPC, Superintendent Peter Baki and Kimbe Police Station Commander Fred Kaiwa, two significant changes in the police command in the province.
I will be with you for the next 3 years. I am the only contract officer now in the country as PPC. All the other PPCs, their contracts are removed. You know what has happened. Some PPCs decided to take the commissioner to court. They forgot that the commissioner is their commander and they are subject to his command. So the court has dismissed them, 5 of them. Because of that, all contracts for all PPCs are now removed. So I'm the only contract officer now with RPNGC. This is because my background is not police. My background is military. And I was contracted into police to assist in fighting law and order.
In his address, NGA Assistant Commissioner of Police Perendranu stressed that the changes were necessary to address ill-disciplined behavior and improve policing services throughout the province. The success of the new leadership would also depend on the support and cooperation of all members of the provincial police force.
The challenges, the changes are made for only 2 positions of the PPC and the PSC of Kimbe. These 2 officers will not achieve this change and the outcomes we desire if you members in West New Britain are not contributing with them. These 2 officers will only achieve the desired outcomes of effective policing services through you, all members in West New Britain Police.
The parade also marked the process of the Royal PNG Constabulary system, which required quarterly inspections for the first quarter of 2023, with the emphasis on the importance of enforcing and implementing the system correctly. ACP Ndranu urged all members to work together to provide effective policing services to the people of West New Britain, despite the current limitations in required assets. Education Minister and member for Usino-Bundi District Jimmy Uguro has stressed that Medang requires a collective effort to restore to its former glory. Minister Uguro said this following his swearing-in as a member of the Medang Provincial Assembly on Tuesday this week. Senior Provincial Magistrate Fridolin Cambinel presided over the ceremony. It was witnessed by presidents of the Medang's local level governments and 2 members of parliament. Uguro is the final MP to be sworn into the Medang Provincial Assembly. Other national parliamentarians present during the swearing-in were MP for Rai Coast and Vice Minister for International Trade and Investment Kesi Sawang and Sumka MP Alex Sukuman Ome. Minister Uguro also commended the Medang Governor, Ramsey Pariwa, for his leadership in bringing all Medang MPs together. Wednesday, 29th March 2023 marked the 59th graduation ceremony of Port Moresby Technical College in NCD. Minister for Higher Education Don Pollier was the guest of honor and speaker. The graduation saw 687 young men and women graduated with national certificates, diplomas and advanced and diplomas in various technical skills at the Sir John Guy's Indoor Complex.
The theme of the 59th graduation ceremony of the Port Moresby Technical College was empowering graduates to build a better future through technical education and industry progress. Randy Yama, SRC President of 2023, acknowledged God for the strength and courage given to students to complete their studies. He also thanked and appreciated the Principal, Henry Wamaingo, for his coaching and mentorship. The students were conferred by the chairperson of the Governing Council, Kiame Kipi, in receiving the national certificates, diplomas, and advanced diplomas respectively. Minister for Department for Higher Education, Research and Science Technology, Don Pollier, affirmed the impression of graduates at such a time like this when their minds are in vagueness. He encouraged them to focus on what is real, including being joyful for their achievement.
Because you never had the knowledge that you have today, that you acquired by today, that you never had before. The skills you have in you, you never had it. But now you have the skills. You have the knowledge. And of course, you never had some experience, but now you have some experience. I admire you because you have something that you never had, but now you have it.
He said he was proud and inspired by the students because the skills they acquired will contribute to nation building.
Nation is not built by one person or a government or just one company or a group of people, but it's built by individuals. When we conglomerate our talents, our efforts together into the solidarity of effort that we put into the nation, you find a collective positive building of the nation comes about. You agree? Yes, sir. And I'm very proud of you, graduates.
Pollier concluded by expressing his plans to promote inclusiveness in the colleges and universities, including structures and facilities for people from all walks of life. Frida Kana, TVWAN News.
This is TVWAN News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
With BSP Internet Banking, you can enjoy your banking at home, at work, or wherever you are. BSP Personal Internet Banking allows you to view your accounts and transactions, transfer money, bill pay, schedule future payments, or access your bank statements. Visit your nearest BSP branch to register now. BSP Internet Banking, the smarter way to bank. BSP, our bank, our people.
When you're spending time with family, when you've got a big day ahead, when you have given it all you've got,
When you're putting on a feast, that's when you want the best. That's when you want flame rice. New flame rice. Win him, Olgeta.
Strong like you, smart like me. I hope they don't break. Now Choli Luki's son. This is Relaxo. Strong plus Shred. Should I try them on you?
No, please. I'll take them.
Relaxo. Very strong, lasts long.
A quick favorite meal for the day does feel good. Snacks noodles is my choice for a simple meal. It is easy to prepare and fast to cook. And with a touch of flavor and ingredients, quality noodles that can be cooked and enjoyed in many different ways. You see, my whole family loves it. It's made here in PNG and comes in different pack sizes. Snacks noodles, tastier by you like you more.
When skin tends to lack natural oil, it is termed dry skin. Refresh and rehydrate with the Neutrogena Hydro Boost range. Here's a simple 3-step routine. 1. Hydro Boost Cleanser. It is gentle, won't clog pores, and adds moisture to the skin, unlike soap. Step 2. A moisturizer, such as this one, for replenishment. Step 3. Bright Eyes. This specially formulated eye roll-on infuses moisture around the delicate eye area. And there you go. Be beautiful, be you.
We see you, moving heaven and earth to progress forward. That is why we make sure that the reward you deserve is waiting to encourage you on your journey to success.
Johnston from the corner, he will get there. It's a great Melbourne Storm try. That is Melbourne's best stuff. Running straight. Oh, Justin Olive lays out Walker, a bone rattler. Round floating ball, Blake Sevo, there it is. All right, big kick coming up.
Intercept. Got his eyes on the try line. No one's going to catch him. Chuck the game.
Now the fullback, Mariah with a miracle pass on the outside. The bench is caught. Backwards, so play on him. Inside ball to a Picky. Lightning speed. He sees the checkered flag in his victory at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
With Tony Arbolino taking his second win in the last 3 Grand Prix.
Handball's good. Away going Oya. It's a kick. It's a goal.
Welcome back. The 9th edition of the PNG Economic Update was launched by the World Bank of PNG today. According to the update, PNG predicts 3.7% economic growth in 2023.
So what it tells is that these trends that we have described last time...
The World Economic Update for Papua New Guinea was launched today by the World Bank of PNG in its 9th edition this year. The update for PNG predicts 3.7% economic growth in 2023. Senior country economist Ruslan Piontvisky stated that the World Bank had found that PNG's economy has recovered above its pre-pandemic GDP with high commodity prices and the removal of COVID-19 restrictions, accelerating economic growth to 4.5% for 2022.
Looking into fiscal trend, why it is important to reduce fiscal deficit, why it's important to continue with the fiscal consolidation. It's important because the interest expenditure, the expenditure on servicing this debt are very high in PNG, and they're high because the level of debt is higher. Yeah? So this slide here shows what was the average spending on health and education in percent of total spending over the last 5 years, and interest expenditure on servicing the existing debt. And actually, over the last 5 years, the interest expenditure has been higher than both, health and education. So by continuing with fiscal consolidation, by reducing the stock of debt, the interest expenditure will gradually go down, and there will be more room, more space to finance health and education and other important expenditure.
The new report says that economic growth is expected to slow to 3.7% in 2023 due to lower global demand and supply constraints.
What is also following from this and from our analysis is that further fiscal consolidation could become a bit more challenging. And this is because we couldn't expect such a big contribution from revenue from the resource sector as we experienced in 2022 and a little bit of that also in 2023.
On the other hand, World Bank states that PNG needs for human capital in education, health, social protection and infrastructure spending are substantial. Pion Kaviski also shared that substantial resource revenue boosts from commodity prices in the coming years are unlikely. Jasmine Nero, TVWAN News.
The World Bank report subtitled Unlocking the Economic Benefits of Gender Equality also makes a clear economic case faster action on gender equality in PNG. During the launch of the 9th edition World Economic Update for Papua New Guinea today, Georgia Demaki, a senior social development specialist in the East Asia and Pacific region with the World Bank, shared details of the report, highlighting the potentially significant economic gains made in PNG through efforts to address gender inequality, including improvements in overall family incomes, more substantial education and training, and increased economic productivity.
The report estimates that GDP per capita in PNG could be 1/5 higher, in particular 20.8% higher in the long term, in the space of a generation. Important that girls remain in school for longer than they currently do, and that we support their transition from school to work. There are costs associated with gender-based violence as well. What we do in the report is document what the cost is from absenteeism from work, and that is estimated at 0.5% of PNG's GDP. The report focuses on two sets of opportunities. One is supportive legal and policy environment, including a focus on enforcement and implementation. And the second set of recommendations is around scaling up interventions that do work to address GBV.
The National Development Bank was presented funds from the Department of Commerce. Acting Minister Sori Yoe made the presentation to State Enterprise Minister William Duma in Port Moresby today.
Acting Minister for Commerce Sori Yoe today presented 40 million kina to Minister for State Enterprises William Duma to fund the Small and Medium Enterprises Grant Facility run by the National Development Bank.
This is a fulfillment of our promise to our people and to ensuring that both our partner banks continue to lend to our people, enabling our SMEs to grow. We're happy to see that the lives and aspirations of many Papua New Guinean businessmen and women have been positively impacted by this policy.
This funding of 40 million kina is for the 2022 allocation of the continuation of the government's MSME grant facility with the NDB. In 2020, NDB successfully disbursed the initial 80 million kina allocated to industries which included transport, agriculture, tourism and the food industries, among others.
The NDB is now made up of very credible people who lead the board, led by a chairman, and management, a credible management led by the CEO. That money will be put to good use, and in less than a year's time, you will see a lot of differences, especially in the SME area.
Whilst NDB has not yet received funding for 2021, the 40 million kina is timely as funding from the last allocation was exhausted late last year. Minister Duma says NDB will continue to be the government's vehicle to roll out its policies, including the SME grant for the benefit of every Papua New Guinean who goes to NDB for funding assistance. Maricela Kelleton, TV1 News.
Dr. David Kavanagh is the head of Kumul Consolidated Holdings, the trustee company responsible for managing all of Papua New Guinea's government-owned commercial assets, with the exception of oil and gas. And as a trustee of other people's funds, Dr. Kavanagh spoke on the importance of strategic asset allocation and investment strategies in guiding their management during his presentation at the 4th Pacific Island Investment Forum. Under the leadership of Dr. David Kavanagh, Kumul Consolidated Holdings has invested in and monitored the performance of all state-owned enterprises, working to improve corporate governance practices and address past challenges. The company has also supported the government by ensuring that dividends are paid, contributing to government revenue and providing critical services to the public. In addition to restructuring the balance sheets and P&L statements of state-owned enterprises, KCH is also working towards privatizing some of these enterprises to create synergistic benefits and promote economic growth. KCHL Managing Director Dr. David Kavanagh recognizes the importance of corporate governance and has taken steps to improve directorships on boards, aiming for at least 30% female representation. KCH manages 9 SOEs in areas such as electricity, water, banking and insurance, aviation, ports, logistics, agriculture and telecommunications. Dr. Kavanagh acknowledged the collective economic unit that has been built for the Pacific, bringing together industry groups with over 35 billion in assets under management. He recognizes the challenges faced by all trustees, including issues of scale, liquidity, and execution, as well as the specific challenge of resilience in the face of climate change. Despite the challenges, Dr. Kavanagh notes that PNG's economic performance is on an upward trend, with potential for growth in extractive industries and agriculture. He emphasizes the importance of public-private partnerships in promoting economic growth in the Pacific region. He invites potential partners to explore different modalities of partnership and stresses the importance of domestic capital accumulation alongside outside investment.
This forum is important because of the collective economic unit that you have built for the Pacific. There's an enormous pool of experience and resources across this room. As you represent those funds, you are fully conscious of strong corporate governance practices and the roles of trustees as different to ordinary directors. In conclusion, the PNG economy is on an upward trend, and sometimes there are opportunity costs, but sometimes it's good to get there early because your investment is actually long-term rather than short-term gains. The opportunities to partner with KCH and all our state-owned enterprises is there. Happy to talk to you about the different modalities of public-private partnership and so that the Pacific grows. But also that the absorptive capacity of our economies is able to absorb the capital that's coming in from outside, but also that we have to emphasize the importance of domestic capital accumulation.
The Center for Excellence in Financial Inclusion recently celebrated a decade of operations in Papua New Guinea. Since being established 10 years ago, the Financial Center has grown from strength to strength in becoming the leading industry apex organization in coordinating, advocating, and monitoring financial inclusion activities in the country.
The Center for Excellence in Financial Inclusion commemorated its 10-year anniversary in a small but significant ceremony at its Port Moresby office recently. CEFI's humble beginning was the outcome of the microfinance expansion project in 2013 under the direction of the Bank of Papua New Guinea, Department of National Planning and Department of Treasury. Since established 10 years ago, CEFI has grown from strength to strength in becoming the leading industry apex organization in coordinating, advocating, and monitoring financial inclusion activities in Papua New Guinea. Acting Governor of Bank of PNG and Chair of the CEFI Board, Elizabeth Genia, applauded CEFI's accomplishments in areas of financial literacy training, developing and implementing financial inclusion policies and documents, and partnering with key stakeholders to deliver financial inclusion projects.
Today, we're acknowledging a decade of vision, from strong leaders, of commitment, of innovation, of cooperation, of partnership and dedication to the goal of bringing basic financial services to people in rural and remote areas who have been financially disadvantaged by geography in the past.
CEFI has partnered with financial institutions in the area of financial literacy training, stressing on CEFI's collaboration with its partners to deliver financial literacy training to over 350,000 Papua New Guineans. Some of the important projects that CEFI has used to bring gender equity into the financial inclusion domain include introduction of the Ledger PAL application for women SMEs, digital online training for women, and development of a financial literacy mobile application. Mary Silla Kelleton, TV1 News.
You're watching TV1 News. Stay tuned for news around the region after the break.
Experience a convenient and smarter way to do your banking with BSB Mobile Banking. You don't have to leave the office or your home to pay for bills. You can view your account balance, transfer funds, top up phone credits, or purchase easy paid units wherever you are. Visit your BSB branch today to register now for BSB Mobile Banking. BSB Mobile Banking, the smarter way to bank. BSB, our bank, our people.
He says the best Hunters players come from his region. So does she. But there's one thing that brings everyone together. SP Lager, Bunyamyumi.
Strong like you, smart like me. I hope they don't break. Now Charlie Look son. This is Relaxo. Strong plus thread. Should I try them on you?
No, please. I'll take them.
Relaxo. Very strong, lasts long.
Whether we're playing sport, exercising for fitness, being active for work or play, just having some fun, or just chilling, there is one name we can count on that we know will keep us going strong. Skell Rice. Healthy, nutritious, delicious medium grain rice full of vitamins and minerals. Skell helps us maintain a healthy, active lifestyle so we can enjoy every day.
Skell Rice. Skell Rice.
Open Meds.
To have kicked off 2023 as we introduce to the world MotoGP today. As a result, there's a buzz and excitement here at
Oh, that was tight, really tight. Paco Bagnaia showing just why he's the reigning world champion.
Ranking Pacific. The pride of the Pacific Islands on display.
Welcome back. Fiji's Prime Minister Sitiveni Rabuka has revealed that the Media Industry Development Act 2010 will be repealed. During a post-cabinet press conference on Wednesday, Rabuka said cabinet has approved the tabling of a bill to repeal the act as a whole. He said the decision is pursuant to the coalition government's commitment to the growth and development of a strong and independent news media in the country. Rabuka stressed that media freedom and freedom of expression is the oxygen of democracy. The Fijian Media Association has welcomed and celebrates Cabinet's decision, adding it has been a long time coming for Fiji's media workers who have struggled to operate freely under this law for the past 12 years. The association in a statement said the threat and that burden is being lifted. The critically endangered Corroboree frog is under threat from a deadly fungus, and not only that, many of its breeding sites were burnt in the Black Summer bushfires. There's also concern that First Nations knowledge of this striking black and gold frog could be lost.
This swamp in the foothills of the Snowy Mountains is prime habitat for the northern Corroboree frog. With only 300 males estimated to be left in the wild, finding one is cause for excitement.
We've been monitoring the northern Corroboree frog for about 30 years now, and the trend is clear that this frog is in an ongoing state of decline towards extinction.
The Corroboree frog, or gaiac as it's known to the Walgaloo people, has cultural significance. As people moved through the high country, they'd call to the frog.
And so when they would call out to gaiac, if gaiac didn't respond, permission wasn't granted for our people to move to the next part of country.
Local elders and scientists have joined with Taronga Zoo and the Bangarra Dance Company to work with students at the tiny Brungle Public School.
Well, what I like doing most is like drawing and painting it, because it's actually really pretty for like a little frog.
They've come up with a dance to represent both the conservation effort and traditional stories.
I came up with the sitting on the rock. I couldn't really think of any moves.
The dance being developed by the children here at Brungle will ensure the significance of gaiac lives on in the local community. But it's hoped it can have wider impact by sharing the Corroboree frog story with all Indigenous people who traditionally travelled through the Snowy Mountains.
The children who are performing it here today will then tell their children and teach their children this dance, and it will continue.
A performance that's connecting children with traditional culture and conservation.
A UN resolution was adopted on Wednesday that should make it easier to hold polluting countries legally accountable for failing to tackle the climate emergency, in a vote which was hailed as a historic victory for climate justice. The UN General Assembly adopted by consensus the resolution spearheaded by Vanuatu, a tiny Pacific island nation vulnerable to extreme climate effects, and youth activists to secure a legal opinion from the International Court of Justice to clarify states' obligations to tackle the climate crisis and specify any consequences countries should face for inaction. Ismail Kalsakau, Prime Minister of Vanuatu, said the historic resolution is the beginning of a new era in multilateral climate cooperation, one that is more fully focused on upholding the rule of international law, and an era that places human rights and intergenerational equity at the forefront of climate decision-making. The resolution will help establish a legal litmus test of sorts for the global climate justice movement seeking to hold countries to account for climate failures in the courts. A new report has found almost a third of the nation's farmers had attempted self-harm or suicide in the last 5 years.
Paul Weir has been working on his dairy farm near Lismore for the past 3 decades. A year ago, he watched on helplessly as much of his herd was washed away by the area's worst flood on record. Since then, he's been working long hours to care for his remaining cows and repair an estimated $3 million worth of damage.
It wasn't until late at night when you were that exhausted that that's the only time you had to contemplate, the emotional side of it.
The mental impact of natural disasters and fluctuating market conditions has been laid bare in a new report. More than 1,300 people responded to the National Farmers Federation Wellbeing Survey. Almost two-thirds had experienced anxiety over the past 5 years, with natural disasters or financial stress the most common triggers. Nearly half reported having thoughts of self-harm or suicide, and 30% had attempted self-harm or suicide.
Yeah.
Ross Blanche divides his time between dairy farming and crisis counselling and says the figures are daunting.
Some of them I expected, but some of them are really extreme. The self-harm one, I just couldn't believe that was that high.
The federal government says it's working to provide more face-to-face services.
We know sadly that one farmer dies by suicide every 10 days. This is something that we are determined to turn around.
Existing mental health support services don't seem to be able to cope with the extent of the problem among farmers. And with 1 in 10 of those surveyed being too embarrassed to seek help, the stigma attached to the problem remains a major barrier.
A Tasmanian couple faces losing their child to state care if they don't accept an offer of public housing.
Piece by piece, Lakita Smith and Justin Williams are building a life together with their 7-month-old son, George.
My mental health's got better, I can cope better with things, and just, yeah, he's changed us completely. We're 100% better people because of him.
Before George was in the picture, the couple struggled with drug addiction, using cannabis as a way to cope with their own childhood trauma.
When Lakita fell pregnant, I thought that I just wanted to stop.
Despite getting help and turning their lives around, the couple are still struggling to find work. There are even more hurdles when it comes to finding somewhere to live.
We know that many tenants are missing out on properties because they can't tick every box.
The couple have been given 2 public housing options on the outskirts of Hobart. They're not near public transport and are in areas which could increase their risk of relapse. But the couple were told if they don't have stable housing, George could be removed from their care.
And we don't want to spend a minute without him. He's too important to us. Yeah.
Hobart City Mission says without support services, more children would enter statutory care amid the housing crisis.
It is certainly a risk, and it's a growing risk in the environment we live in at the moment.
A spokesperson from the Department of Education, Children and Young People says housing instability is often a contributing factor for families experiencing difficulties. However, homelessness on its own doesn't result in children being removed from care.
And that ends the news segment. Taking us to the break now is the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. You're watching TV1 News. Sports News is next with Jasmine Iru.
He says the best Hunters players come from his region. So does she. But there's one thing that brings everyone together. SB Lager, Bunyamyumi.
to it. Shield on the burst. Can he finish? Yes, he can.
Inside the set play from the Eagles. Cripps, the finish from the tightest of angles.
Here's Caminiti. Kicks long. Crowd will tell a story. Bingo. Over the top to the speedster. Rowan gets on his boy.
Run and jump.
Long range. Wow. What about that?
Wherever you're watching from, welcome aboard. Joining us on sideline will be Stevie D. Oh, big hit there. It's got numbers on the outside, and Lucara goes in eventually. Oh, and they're claiming a try here, the Vipers. Still going inside ball. This is a beautiful try. This is champagne football here.
Just starting to bubble up. Here's the lead. Solid kick. Can't stop the powerhouse from Papua New Guinea. What about sweaty time for everyone?
Gary 2-1. In midfield, one pass and he's over the top. And it's Walani Patterson. They've got a penalty advantage. Tia, threading the kick through. Oh, sensational. What a great piece of work from Chase Tia. Wide ball's been lost.
Off the blue face.
But not forward. And picked up beautifully by Polo, who's into the corner. Well, cut out pass. Proctor away for Cameron. He slices through and scores.
Away to Botta, clean break. Garden Basher goes nice and low, but it's beautifully snapped up, and the try is scored. I think it is. Now they go wide, and here's Toll in space. He's got all the pace in the world, and little Corey Toll scores for the Brumbies.
Welcome back. A 20-man EMK Civic Pride squad flew into Port Moresby today for a trial match against the Central Provincial Government, Dabaris. The match is scheduled for 2 p.m. this Friday at the Bava Park. EMK Civic Pride Chairman Bradley Simon, when confirming the trial match, said they have brought their possible strongest side yet, as this will be their last trial match before their maiden round one clash against PRK Gulf Iso on April 16 at the Santos National Football Stadium in Port Moresby. Simon said their 4 elite players in Captain Watovo Puara Jr., prop Francis Kembis, gun center Joe Frank, and former Gurias captain Francis Takai are part of their first 17 for tomorrow's trial. The chairman said they have 5 Cipic boys who are part of the squad. They will also take the field. Simon said they are looking forward to a strong game against their Central brothers, who thrashed Vipers 26-0 in their last trial match last Saturday. Cipic Pride have had a number of opposed matches over the past 2 weekends, and this would be their first real hit out against a Digital Cup franchise team. The 2023 season of Capital Rugby Union was launched on Wednesday evening. President Corey Chan welcomed team captains, sponsors and new staff to the event, saying plans are progressing to get the structure in place in order that vital programs are rolled out to support the competition and take it to the next tier.
Capital Rugby Union is taking big and bold steps to up the competition level. At Wednesday's launch at the Brucatol, President Corey Chen said they've partnered with sponsors, namely Money Plus and Pepsi, to transform CRU and create opportunities for players.
To provide them with an opportunity to express themselves, to develop and unleash their natural talents, and to also provide them with the core values of rugby.
CRU has been in running for 6 years. Slowly but surely it is getting its structure in place in order to roll out vital programs like the Junior and Pikinini Rugby Development Program, raising competition standards and increase sponsorships and female participation. At the launch, Chen introduced members of the board and management, technical staff, including former PNG RFL CEO Reata Rao, whom Chen says has been brought on board as a corporate advisor.
What I'd like to see is a formidable team to really help, I guess, transform us from what I said before, a community-based organisation, to really try and lead the charge with transforming CRU into what we see as a potential semi-professional comp in the future.
Representatives of Money Plus and Pepsi expressed excitement at being part of CRU plans to grow the competition and its players. Atish Das, Money Plus country head in sales and marketing, who comes from a cricket-playing background, was converted to enjoying and supporting rugby after spending time living and working in Papua New Guinea.
Sports is the only game where you can connect to the community, connect to the discipline, connect to the ground reality. And that makes us proud that we are, as an organization, supporting to drive this business to the community, to discipline them, to train them, to teach them, and give it back to the community.
Team captains of CRU clubs participated in the launch. Captains of Harlequins and Brothers had the opportunity to share thoughts of the coming season proper.
We're looking forward to defend the cup, and it's not an easy job because it comes back to us. The players will work on through our trainings and programs. Yeah.
Salome Vincent, TV1 News.
Hong Kong Stadium throws open its doors to the HSBC World Rugby Sevens Series for the second time this season on Friday. The second Cathay HSBC Hong Kong Sevens of the 2023 series will be a momentous occasion as women join the bill for the first time. Every match at the tournament will be streamed live on the series website and World Rugby's official YouTube channel. For the first time since the inception of the Women's Series in 2012, Hong Kong will host a joint tournament featuring the best male and female players in the world. The landmark tournament had originally been scheduled to be played in April 2020, before the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic led to its cancellation. It means the likes of Charlotte Caslick, Michaela Blythe and Reapi Ulunisa Isau will now get to run out to the iconic Hong Kong Stadium. The PNG Barras have gone down swinging in a run-fest to Namibia. The result leaves PNG at 0 wins and 2 losses to start the tournament and bottom on the ladder. Charles Amini Jr. lit up the Namibian cricketing grounds, becoming PNG's 4th ODI centurion, scoring a swashbuckling 109 off just 75 balls with 8 fours and 8 sixes. CJ, along with skipper Assad Vala, combined for a record partnership of 153 runs. Unfortunately, it was not enough in a case of what could have been, as PNG left themselves a mountain just a bit too big to climb. Namibia, batting first, set a record for the highest ever total by an associate nation in ODIs, hammering 381. Young left-arm fast bowler Sema Kamea was the shining light for PNG, taking his second ODI 5-wicket haul 5 for 68. The result leaves PNG at 0 wins and 2 losses to start the tournament and bottom on the ladder. There are 3 matches left, and realistically they must win all 3 if they are going to give themselves a chance at regaining ODI status. The Barras remained optimistic that they can regain ODI status. It's a mountain to climb, but they've proven in the past that nothing is impossible. The next match is this Saturday against Jersey, a game where PNG will be favourites to win. And that wraps up sports tonight. Over to you, Carol.
Thank you, Jazz. Before we go, remember to apply the following simple measures to prevent transmission of the coronavirus. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water, cough or sneeze into your elbow, and exercise social distancing. If you are feeling sick, please stay at home. You can also call the COVID-19 hotline number for more information or assistance. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
The TVWAN News was proudly brought to you by
BSP, our bank, our people.